What's up, guys? Starr Carter here. Now tell me, did y'all see that Donald Trump posted on True Social that he wants to put a 10% cap on interest rate on credit cards, 10% cap interest rate on credit cards starting January the 20th? Did y'all see that? Well, if you didn't, check these out.
Breaking news. Last night, Donald Trump announced that he's going to demand credit card companies to cut credit interest down to 10%. Starting January 20th this year, that means in 10 days, credit card interest would be slashed to 10%. Average credit card right now is close to 27 to 30%. This would allow more Americans to attack and pay off their debt. Senator Elizabeth Warren said this is meaningless because there is no bill yet. Credit card companies have not responded yet since this just dropped last night, but bank advocates have said if they cut credit interest down to 10%, these companies will limit how much credit they loan out, which would push consumers toward higher cost alternatives. I think paying 30% interest in credit cards is already expensive as it is. Cross your fingers. Hopefully this does happen. I don't think it's going to happen by the 20th since there is no bill yet. Let me know your thoughts below, but I'll take the 10% and reduce my limit. Also, share this video and follow my page to stay updated.
President Trump posted something very interesting. He said, "Please be informed that we will no longer let the American public be ripped off by credit card companies that are charging interest rates of 20 to 30% and even more, which festered unimpeded during the sleepy Joe Biden administration. Affordability, in all caps, exclamation point, effective January 20, 2026. I, as President of the United States, am calling for a one-year cap on credit card interest rates of 10%. Coincidentally, the January 20th date will coincide with the one-year anniversary of the historic and very successful Trump administration." Okay, first, we can all agree that credit card interest rates are astronomically high and ridiculous. And as I reported in this video back in November, according to the New York Fed, American household debt hit a record high in the third quarter of 2025. See that orange section right there? That represents the amount of credit card debt that people are carrying in this country. That orange section represents $1.23 trillion of just credit card debt. And of all the types of debt that we have in this country, credit card debt, which you can see by this blue line here, is the debt where you will find the most delinquencies. And the vast majority of the credit card debt that we are carrying is due to the astronomically high interest rates that go along with that credit card debt. So according to the Federal Reserve's latest report, in November of 2025, the average credit card interest rate in this country was a little more than 20%. Of course, those rates are high because lending money to the average American through a credit card is high risk. So it'll cost more. Plus, of course, the credit card companies, they have to make a profit. So now that we've established the facts about credit card debt being a real problem, let's talk about what the president is now suggesting. He says as of January 20th, he wants credit card companies to cap that interest rate at 10%. We live in America, which is a capitalist country. In this country, no president has the power to just unilaterally tell a private company or industry to charge a certain amount for its products or services. Now, there are things a president can do. A president can convince Congress to pass a law that could do something like that, which of course would be challenged in court. Or a president could instruct his administration to go through a lengthy rulemaking process that could do something sort of like that, which would also be challenged in court. But a president can't just declare it so, especially not on social media. But I did mention the rulemaking process, and I want to point something out to you. President Biden did do something about credit cards, and President Trump eliminated it. President Biden used the rulemaking process and directed his Consumer Financial Protection Bureau to create a new rule that would have capped credit card late fees. The rule said if you didn't pay your credit card balance on time, the credit card company was not allowed to charge you any more than $8 as a late fee. The CFPB created that rule using a law passed by Congress in 2009 called the Credit Card Accountability, Responsibility, and Disclosure Act, or CARD Act. I did multiple videos on that entire process. Of course, many banks sued the Biden administration, saying the federal government doesn't have the power to tell us how much to charge them in a late fee. And while that case was pending, President Biden left office and President Trump came into office. And in April of this year, the Trump administration agreed with the banks and they threw out the $8 rule. And speaking of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, which Congress established by law in 2010 to specifically regulate banks and to protect you and me from predatory behavior from companies like credit card companies, President Trump ordered his administration to shut down the CFPB by laying off most of the federal workers who work there and by forbidding the ones who remain there from doing any work at all, including the oversight work to protect you and me. Now, it's also worth noting that defunding and shutting down the CFPB is an entire chapter of Project 2025. So what is Trump talking about when he says he's going to cap credit card interest rates at 10%? I actually don't know. There is no executive order pending. There is no rule change announcement that's been made. And there is no law that has passed through the House and the Senate to make that happen. And it's completely unclear how President Trump believes, even if any one of those things could happen, how it could get done in just 10 days.
And let us not forget that Bernie Sanders has already talked about this over a year ago. And also Trump has said something about it on his campaign trail. So really and truly, people are calling him out for not keeping his promises when he was running for office.
Donald Trump and Bernie Sanders want to cap credit card interest rates at 10%. And earlier this year when Trump was campaigning, he already stated he wanted to do this. And recently, Bernie Sanders introduced a bill doing just that. With the average APR over 20% and more than half of all current credit card holders holding balances month to month, this could be a massive savings to consumers. If a bill like this does get passed, it's very unlikely that the rate cap is going to retroactively apply to all existing debt.
Breaking news. Senator Bernie Sanders and Senator Josh Hawley are introducing a bipartisan bill to cap interest rates on credit cards at 10%. We've all had that feeling of interest rates on these credit cards being 25, 30%, and you keep paying the interest and can never pay down the balance. That is why I'm going to co-lead in the House the Sanders-Hawley bill to cap these interest rates at 10%. It's outrageous that the banks and credit card companies are profiting on the backs of ordinary Americans. We need to cap the interest rates.
My favorite thing about the Trump 10% credit card announcement, other than the fact that it's actually happening, is that his entire base believes it's him that did that because he intentionally didn't give credit to AOC, who wrote the bill, and then Bernie Sanders, who wrote the amendment in the Senate. But that don't matter because his illiterate following is going to parrot it nonstop. They're like, Trump's the most amazing person ever. He gave us 10%. And then we all get to be like, yeah, you can thank the socialists who wrote that bill for you. And they're going to be like, nah, that didn't happen. I saw it on True Social. It was all Trump. Trump did it. And then we're going to be able to post all the things. And they're going to have to actually admit that they like a socialist policy. And they're going to, their head's going to go, you know, I honestly, I don't really like weaponizing words, but I do think that TDS is a very accurate word to describe the cult. And I think 2026 should be the year that we take TDS back from them. Just think about it.
Donald Trump is calling for a 1-year credit card interest rate cap at 10%, and he just put that on True Social earlier today. And I think it's a setup. I think that this is Donald Trump working overtime to make you forget about them Epstein files. Because where them files at? We've been waiting, and we ain't heard nothing about them. We still waiting on the Epstein files. I don't want y'all to forget. They literally, shock and awe, that is what they are trying to do right now. They are trying to, no, Epstein files immediately. Stop playing with us. You talking about a credit card interest rate cap at 10%. How are you going to make that happen? In the True Social post, I'm going to put it right here. It says, please be informed that we will no longer let the American people be ripped off by credit card companies that are charging interest rates of 20 to 30%. And even more when festered. Okay. This the affordability for me. It don't even talk about how he's going to make that happen. You are going to voluntarily get these financial institutions to say, yes, let's just cap our rates at 10%. For what? To make all of us use credit cards more for a year, and then the year after they can just make them surge and add whatever back on top of it and change their credit card rates the year after? Like Epstein files. Stop playing with us. It's like, oh, let me throw this bone so you guys forget about all the things that are going on right now. Try to make us believe whatever false narrative about Renee Good. Try to literally make us forget about Venezuela. Thanks for the cookie. But we got real things that we need for you to figure out. Now, this is not to say that this wouldn't be helpful. I don't want to get that confused. I want to just emphasize that if you are going to make your 1-year anniversary present to the American people be a 10% interest rate cap, you need to not be stopping federal funding for the whole state of Minnesota, because if you care about affordability, you would not be taking away people's food benefits. Truthfully. We also lost over 1 million jobs last year. I think a real testament to affordability would be finding out what your plan is on fixing that while you're doing everything in any other country. How about actually focusing on true affordability and what the American people need outside of just a 10% interest rate cap on credit cards to promote people to use more credit? Like, we want for the things that we can use with our own money to be able to afford the stuff with our own money, so we would need the jobs and the amount of money to live without having to need credit.
All right, guys, so let me know what you think about this. Would this be a good thing for people that are carrying credit card debt right now, or do you think that's going to hurt people in the long run? Bernie Sanders' original proposal was for 5 years. Donald Trump saying only 1 year. So a lot of people are saying that 1 year is not enough, and all the credit card companies going to do, if this was to pass through the House and all that kind of stuff, all they're going to do is jack the interest rate up even higher once all of that is over with. And of course, it's going to end up canceling a lot of cards for people that do not have perfect credit, or not even really perfect credit. Anything pretty much under 680, they're going to wind up taking credit away from those customers, which is going to push people to doing alternative lending, which could be like payday loans and stuff like that. So guys, just let me know what you think in the comments, and I'm going to see you on the next video.